Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cam'Ron Johnston, joined by my co-host, as always, Jacob Boyers. Jake, what's the word I'm going to say? You know what I'm going to say. Cats find a way to win 80-78 in a roller coaster game. It's been a roller coaster season. I've already said it twice. I'm going to try and not say it for the rest of the podcast. I got to look up synonyms for roller coaster. The up and down, the tipsy turvy. I don't know. There's some phrases out there. I'm gonna have to get into the encyclopedia, into the dictionary, and find these out. Because this team, man, down 17 points in the first half, comes back on the road at the Food City Center, wins by 2. Just a crazy, crazy game. And Jake, you were wrong once again. I don't know what to say, man.
I
You keep
love it.
picking against these
love
Cats, and you keep looking like a clown.
Yeah, I will happily be wrong in these type of situations.
He's a happy clown.
I mean, you said it. I don't know really what you can say. I don't understand how a team can look so bad in first halves. I mean, it's not just the last two. I mean, it's been St. John's. They played a lot better in the second half at Alabama. Didn't have enough to get over the hump, but I just don't understand how a team can look so different from one half to another. But hey, the results the last two, you obviously you take them. I mean, this one was. I got to be honest. There was never really a moment in this game I thought we were going to win, even when we were kind of coming back. To Tennessee's credit, it felt like every time we would get it to 4 or 5, they would hit a big shot that just kind of felt like it deflated everything, and then we would even go down and miss a shot, and then they would come back down. But then every time we would get a big stop, and we didn't have a single lead in the game until 34 seconds to go on the Chandler Steele. So I don't know, Cam. Like I said last week, I was at a loss for words. I'm still at a loss for words. Where I really don't know what to say. I mean, other than I just this team. We talked about it Tuesday night last week or Wednesday, whatever day that game was. Like, they don't quit, and the way this season was kind of going, it looked like early on there was a lot of reasons to quit. They haven't quit. They don't quit on a game-to-game basis, even when it looks like there's zero shot they have a chance. Unfortunately, I think the roller coaster is just going to continue, and we're going to experience it all year.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you've buckled your seatbelt for it. I've gotten mine fastened, and I'm ready to go on the ride. Jake, I sent you my bet slip from before this game and what I
Yeah.
expected. I think that's just the way you've got to ride with this team. You expect them to fall down early and then hope and pray that they come back late like they have. I mean, each of the past 3 games now, they've had a double-digit deficit and come back to win the game. These slow starts, though, man. You saw what it was against Alabama. When you face a higher level team, and I'm not saying Tennessee is not that. I think Tennessee is a good team. But when you face those upper echelon teams of the SEC, like maybe when we go face Arkansas or Vanderbilt that we play both next week, I don't know if you can get behind teams like that and make those comebacks. I mean, let's just talk about how this team performed in the first half. Only scored 31 points. They had 8 turnovers. And Jake, what if I told you 23 of those 31 points came from the combination of Yelovich, Jasper Johnson, and Colin Chandler?
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed it. Not only did you only score 31, but you needed, Jasper to hit a couple tough threes. I mean, that first half was a full Jasper experience. That one he pulled right in transition when we were down 20-8 or whatever.
Yep.
I was screaming at the TV, "Why are you shooting it?" And he just knocks it down, and so your stars, quote unquote, did not play well at all for the first half. I thought Ortega played honestly pretty poor throughout the game until maybe the last few minutes, and then I thought he made some plays and really kind of amplified stuff on the defensive side for you. But I mean, you really if you told me before any game Kentucky's going to win with Ortega playing really bad, I just I didn't think that was a possibility. Like that's when we were losing and thinking about what I was going to say when we talked about it. Like my takeaway was just going to be like this team can't survive Otega playing really bad games, and they somehow did. And it comes back to another guy of I don't know if there's ever going to be a UK player that has flipped my perception of them in 4 games more than Denzel Aberdeen. I
It's
mean, it's wild. He was in the second half by far the best player, not just on Kentucky, on the entire floor. And to do that multiple games in a row for a guy that, you know, 2.5 weeks ago we were saying he was unplayable and I couldn't watch him out there anymore. And we didn't know what he brought to this team and this and that. And right now he's looking like not just one of the best players on our team, one of the best players in SEC play right now. And I, I, I don't know. I'm gonna probably after this, I'm gonna sit down and try to think if there's ever been a player that is my perceptions flip more. We'll see if it continues, but like if he continues to give you really good minutes throughout the stretch of the season, like that'll be as big of a flip as any I remember.
Yeah, and Jake, when we were going through those tough times when we couldn't find offense, couldn't find cohesion, some of the things that you and I brought up of like what we needed to see, we said we needed just one or two of those sets of guards to start to perform. You needed a Colin Chandler, a Jasper Johnson, or a Denzel Aberdeen to step up and give you what you thought they were going to give you coming into the season. And against Tennessee, I mean, you saw it from all of them.
Yep.
Colin Chandler had a great game, had a huge steal down the stretch. Denzel Aberdeen obviously was cooking in the second half. I mean, just the second half alone, 18 points on 70% shooting, hit 3 threes, had 2 steals in there as well. And Jasper really just kept you in the game that first half. Without Jasper Johnson, that game is probably a blowout. We're leaving the Food City Center early. So you see the difference in what these guards can do for this team when everything is clicking cohesively. Are they finally like is everybody finally bought into what they are doing and what their role is for this team? Is this maybe a silver lining of Jalen's out, we know he's not coming back. These are my defined roles going forward, and that's how I know how to thrive in them.
I think so. I also think like this team. I still think there's going to be just random nights throughout the year where it's going to be probably a different five that steps up. Like you only had 2 points from Cam Williams in this game. Like there's probably going to be a night where we win a game and he goes for 15 plus, and we're talking about him. I I do think there is more of with the injuries, and I think Pope's just he's getting back to running the style of offense we saw a year ago, the offense that we were kind of begging for all season. And I don't know if he with Jalen and for the few games like JQ played, he didn't feel like he could run that. I don't really know, but like it does seem like the sets are a lot better with Low out. And that's not a knock on Low. I think he's really good and he's a player that I want for the future. And I didn't think this team could win many games without him, but you're kind of seeing, I think, to your point, all these guys are figuring out their role. The offense, everybody looks more comfortable in. I mean, Denzel is. I texted you during the game, like he's starting to kind of figure out how to be a point guard, right? And I think that's something maybe we just overlooked. He never had to do that at Florida, and then you bring him here, and he was pretty much told like he's like the backup point guard, but you expected Low to probably play 30 minutes a game, so there was only probably 8 to 10 minutes a game he was going to have to go out there and
Yeah,
run
that
the
whole time
offense.
he was supposed to start and be the starting two guard as well.
Yep.
So probably put in a spot where he's too many hats, and then he's
Yep.
finally starting to get a little bit of comfortability in this role, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he made some really nice passes. I texted you after a couple of them. You know, some passes that led to assists, other ones that led to open shots, other ones where another guy made an extra pass and he didn't get credited with anything. But I thought he looked really comfortable. And then his offensive game in the second half just really the last two games in the second half has just been so much better. It's not just that he's making a couple threes. I mean, the floaters, the little floater to pretty much put us back up three right there after the offensive rebound, like just getting to the lane, everything looks so much more controlled with him. And you know, maybe it's he knows Lowe's not out there, so like this is his role. And we kind of laughed when he said he wanted to be a leader of the team, however long ago. And like I think you're starting to see that. I don't know why you can't do it in the first half still.
Yeah.
With every other player on the team in that same situation, but you're really kind of seeing him step into that role.
Yeah, he's been terrific. I think he ranked fourth on offensive efficiency
Yep.
this week. So I mean, and that's for the country.
We
This
talked
is
about his
a
analytics in
guy,
depth the
that's what
last
I'm saying.
few
Like
weeks. So.
it really has been like a complete 180 from the Denzel Aberdeen you saw throughout the first 12 games of the season. And there was like the Louisville game where he performed well. There was spurts where you saw good play, but I mean, this is a guy you can lean on. This is a guy that you feel comfortable with the ball in his hands. I mean, Jake, you and I text anytime he's pulling up from three. I'm not going to say it on the podcast here, but every time it's just bombs away. We're ready for Denzel to hit it. And right now, I feel comfortable with a lot of these guys taking those threes. And I think that might be something that's getting this team a little bit more comfortable as well. We're actually starting to knock down threes now. I
Yep.
think we're leading since conference play started, we're leading the SEC in 3-point percentage. And that was something, if you would have told us 4 weeks ago, we would have been like, no chance. There's just no chance. We got to play bully ball. That was right after the St. John's game. We'd have been like, no, we have to find a different way to win. And just going back to Pope's system and trusting what he's developed, I think this is going to be a season where each game you look at the box score and there's going to be different ways and different reasons they found a way to win that game. But if you remember last year, Jake, that's what it was almost every game last year. It
Yep.
wasn't a consistent, you had that consistent Otega Oweh streak, but it wasn't, oh, this game Kobe's going for 20. Or it was split between guys. And I think that's what you're going to see now. Obviously, I mean, you had 36 points off your bench. When's the last time we've talked about bench production like that from this team? I just like what I'm seeing right now. And with 2 games this week that theoretically you should win at home, I think you can really start to get something cooking and hopefully take that into a tough stretch where you got to play Vanderbilt and Arkansas back to back.
Yeah. You talk about it on paper, these are two you should win, but like, I should probably know better than to get ahead of myself, but with the way this season's gone, but like, if you can get to 14-6 here and win these next two, you're obviously in a really good spot. You're in a lot better of a spot than I think we would have thought this team would have been, especially
Yeah.
after the Missouri game. So I think you got a chance to really kind of right this ship, right? And these were 2 games that you probably should have lost. You honestly should probably be 10-8 right now, and you found a way to. It took a miracle against LSU, and then you made enough plays down the stretch against Tennessee. But I don't care how we get there. I think I made it pretty clear every game. Like, I don't care if they win by 1 on the last second shot. Like,
Boy, are they holding you to that with
yeah,
these
I know.
games. They're holding you to that.
and I'm good with just find a way to do it. Back to the 3-point. You're talking about how much better this team's shooting. Just the offense in general just is so much more fluent, right? And I think you really see. I mean, there's still times that there's not a lot of ball movement. I think you see that a lot in these first halves for whatever reason. But when these guys are moving and running that kind of weave action that Pope likes, like, you don't have a Kobe Bryant on this team, or even probably a Jackson Robinson, but you still got, I think, guys that if you get them enough open looks, like they're going to knock it down. And even when they aren't, you're now able to play lineups and do things that I just think stretches the floor, and that opens it up for Otega and, now even to an extent, Denzel. I mean, Tennessee, it got to the point late in the second half, they were terrified of us to shoot a 3. They bid on every single pump fake, and that, led for Denzel to get into the paint and everything else. So, whatever, even just the threat of making threes and finding ways to kind of get guys open. These guys are making the extra pass. I thought, the second half again, the offense looked as good as we've seen it, and it's back to that similar style of basketball we saw a year ago.
Yeah, and you mentioned it right there. Just making the extra pass. That's something that we had not been doing through the first 12 games of the season. At no point you found maybe a little spurt in halves where we'd make those extra passes, but right now it's everybody's making those extra passes. You mentioned Denzel did it a good amount of times in this game. I can think of a couple from Mohamed Diabate that he had as well. A lot of these
Think of a
guys,
few from Cam too. Just
yeah, I mean, and previously this is just the ball would stick. The
yeah.
ball's just not as sticky. Now, granted, it is in the first half. I don't know why. I don't know the difference between the first half and the second half, but yeah, Jake.
What do you think about
what
like? I know we're talking about all this on offense. One thing that I do think kind of gets them going, and it kind of drives me crazy that the last two we've waited till the second half. Like this team looks better pressing, right? Like even though like that press isn't really designed to force turnovers. I mean, Tennessee gave some away. They made some, just really poor passes. But like even that press, it's not necessarily designed to create a lot of turnovers because they're not putting a ton of pressure, but it's just something about we've said it all year, like this team's going to be better playing fast and like you can speed up the other team as well. And I think it just creates a flow that, this team plays better in. So I would like to see them come out and play a press in the first 2 minutes, tomorrow night. But
Yeah, and Pope keeps mentioning like the best part about this team is the depth that we have.
yeah,
If that's something you truly believe, then
use it.
I'm all for pressing early in these games. And the part that even if it's not creating turnovers, it's just getting them into the shot clock a little bit later, a
Yeah.
little bit deeper into the shot clock, maybe getting there with 23 seconds left instead of a full 30. And I think that's something that it's hard to guard in the half court for 30 seconds. It really is. When you can change that down to 23 or even, get closer to that 20, it just opens up a lot of things. And then you mentioned right now, like we have one of the best guys, I think, for a press scenario like that. And that's Ortega with the amount of like pick sixes that he gets. He got one late in the second half. You see Collins' ability to
Yeah.
create steals as well. I just think we have a team that sets up for that. We have guys that are shifty left to right, and I think that allows for us to be able to press like that. And then our best offense is getting out in transition and on the move. I mean, you mentioned Jasper's pull up three. I mean, he was 1 on 3 when he shot that there. I mean, I think that's where everybody on this team feels more comfortable, except for maybe like Mohamed Diabate trying to get offensive rebounds, which, Jake, I don't know about you. You want to talk about like first half to second half difference? Watching Mohamed Diabate play the first half, I was ready for him never to play again still. And then the second half, that last like 5 minutes specifically, I mean, what more could you ask? He had 4 offensive rebounds in the last 5 minutes. He was great. I mean, that's what you signed up for from Mohamed Diabate. Now, granted, if the guy could make a layup, I'd appreciate it. That's something I can say for this entire team. Like I feel like Ortega's been pretty poor finishing around the rim. And that was something that he was terrific at last year. I'm not sure where that has went. It seems like I don't. Tell me if maybe I'm missing something here. Have you seen Ortega's ability to drive on the left side of the lane this year? I feel like I have not seen that much at all. I feel like anything that he's either going full head of steam on the right side or on the dribble with the right. I feel like teams have started to pick up on that. That might be why he's not getting as clean of driving lanes as he was last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am thinking about a handful of times where he's gone from the left and smoked a layup.
Mm-hmm.
So I I don't know about that. Back to Diabate just quickly. Like I'm glad to see he played well in the second half because like this is the kind of game like you need him, right? You need him to be that physical
Malachi was getting
force.
pushed around a little bit, so you needed that help.
This was a game that I think very similar to how we talked prior to the St. John's game. Like this is a game where you could probably pencil on paper and say Malachi's probably going to struggle. Like he's just not strong enough yet. That's something that as an 18-year-old it'll come in time, but as of yet, like he's not big enough to go against a Carney. But Diabate, like when you look on paper, if I asked you before the season, who's the teams he's going to match up best, and like the reason you brought him here, you're going to say St. John's and Tennessee. So I was happy to see that level of effort and to actually perform. I mean, I'm with you. He played really bad in the first half, but just to kind of have that Diabate that was bought in, because we talked about it even after LSU, I still thought he was a guy that played really poor. We mentioned 2 or 3 effort plays that I thought, he was kind of in the wrong for. So I don't know what clicked for this game. Maybe it was just watching some guys get pushed around and realize he could be super physical, but it was nice just to get that effort out of him. And then I didn't really see him yelling too much at his own teammates or coaches in this one, so maybe the cameras just didn't catch it.
He got that. They they gave him the ball at the 3-point line with maybe a quarter.
I can understand him being upset about that one.
I fully understand. That's the only time I think I saw anything where he was a little frustrated.
There's 4 other guys on the offense I would want to have to force a 3 at the horn. I mean, I would even throw BG in there. I don't remember who all was on the floor.
I might rather have you shooting that at the horn. I'm not sure.
I mean, call a timeout and put Walker Horn in.
Hey, Zach Towell's still shooting 100% from 3. That's all I'm going to say. Let's get him in there for that if we need to.
But yeah, I can understand him being a little frustrated getting the ball thrown to him with 1 second. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird because I feel like we could probably take, outside of Colin and Jasper, we can take pretty much everybody on this team and talk about how they consistently play so much better in the second half. But you found a way again.
Yelovich moves off in the first half and doesn't play in the second is usually what happens.
I do think, I kind of think Yelovich is another one that this is, especially defensively, probably a pretty bad matchup for him. He got kind of pushed around a little bit, missed some rebounds. But he also, I mean, there were times where he made a nice little move and he hit a 3 in the first half. I remember one time he kind of rolled to the basket and made a nice layup. So, I mean, there's definitely still promise, but this game I can kind of excuse Pope leaning towards Diabate in that second half versus trying to force Yelovich in it. Same thing with Jasper. I mean, we talked about how great Jasper was with how good Denzel was playing. Maybe you can argue you should have put him in for Ortega. I would still argue, even when your best players are having bad games, you leave them out there. And the way Colin and Denzel played in that second half, I just unfortunately don't think there was a lot of minutes for Jasper to get in there. But hand up, I might have called Jasper Johnson, said he was a Travis Perry level. I didn't mean level player.
Weekend for you to have that take.
I didn't. Let me clarify. I didn't mean level player. I even said last week Jasper's got higher upside. I meant more so with the role, and he's probably not ready for it. You mentioned it, man. Without him in that first half, you're probably down too much to come back if he doesn't knock down those 2 threes and make a handful of other plays. So, but I think that's just get that from Jasper, right? When nothing else offensively is going well, put him in, let him have that, spurt ability and make a couple threes that can keep you afloat until Denzel and Ortega or whoever else kind of comes to the level they're expecting. So I think there might be games where it's the first half, there might be games where it's early in the second half, the other team goes on a run and you can't get anything offensively and you throw Jasper in there. And, I think you saw just the kind of level that Jasper can provide. And I think if you tell me you're going to get just, 6-ish minute stretches here and there where he comes in and can kind of carry your offense, I think that's kind of the perfect spot for him.
Yeah, and something that, I mean, it's just crazy looking back at it now. We had 11 points from the starters in the first half.
Yeah.
You had 11 points from your starters in the first half and beat Tennessee on the road. I still don't. And 5 of those were from Yelovich, of all people.
Well, and that's the thing. Yelovich wasn't even starting until 2 games ago. So, I mean, if you just look at your players that you expected to probably be your five best, you got, 6 points from them. So
it's crazy. I feel like we come in, week out with a different game plan. But, I mean, Pope kind of mentioned that on his coach's show yesterday. That's something they're just doing right now. Game in, game out is a different game plan. And he mentioned that specifically at the 4 when it comes to whether he wants to run Cam Williams out there or Yelovich or Mohamed Diabate. It's going to be a lot of, matchup dependent. He even mentioned putting Trent Noah in there at a 4 at some spots. And I'm going to say right now, I'm good.
That wasn't.
I'm all right. Like we saw Ortega even running the 4 at some
Yeah,
points.
that was a lineup.
And I don't mind that either, especially if it's, granted, I'd
That's
like
the
for
only way
Ortega
you
to
can
get
get
better
Jasper
for
on the
doing that.
floor. I'm for it.
Yeah. And somebody I did want to bring up because, Jake, we've been critical of him. I think it's fair to say. And nothing on the stat sheet would show you that he had a terrific game or was
I'm
like a
with you.
standout of any sort. Brandon Garrison, 2 points, 2 rebounds in 18 minutes. You look at that and you're just like, okay, you got some cardio for you. I thought the physicality that he brought,
Yep.
and really he kind of changed a lot of Carey's. What did Carey shoot in this game? It was
Not
bad.
good.
A lot of his was right around the rim. He was 3 of 12.
3
in
of
this
12.
game.
Yep.
And I think Brandon Garrison was a big part of that. I think Mohamed Diabate was as well. I think without the physicality of those two, BG specifically, I think this might be a game that gets away from Kentucky. It did, and they brought it back. And I think a lot of that was because Carey was missing those shots because BG was altering them. And Malachi Moreno as well. He finally started getting a little physical there towards the end of the game and started blocking some shots as well.
Yeah, you're right. Like nothing on the stat sheet for BG is gonna scream good things. And if there's ever someone that likes to be critical of him, I think anybody that's listened to this over the past year and a half understands. But I'm with you. There were a lot of times where I felt like he probably should have been on the floor over Malachi, and I thought he was giving you a lot of good things and doing some stuff that didn't show up on the stats. And the biggest thing, like you said, was just that physicality, because in those first few minutes, it was clear Malachi was just getting pushed out of his spot. When he could stay in position and kind of fight through it, I think he obviously did a good job of altering shots, but it felt like it wasn't a game where he was strong enough. And then BG gives you that. He gave you a little bit of it after the game with Ortega even. So, that was something I was kind of excited to see. I just want to see these guys play with that effort and that, hustle and that fire. And I think that's everything we've kind of said going back to, the Gonzaga game is just, we want to see that these guys care and they're giving it their all, and they're starting to. And not only are you doing that, but you're now finding ways to win games by, having some more of that than you did early in the non-conference.
Yeah, and Jake, I don't know, I know you remember a lot of it, but that 2014 team, when they went through that process of things weren't going their way, like backs against the wall, you have to find a way to win these games, figure out how to win differently, game in, game out. It really rallies the fan base around you. And I think we're starting to see that over these past 3 games. Now, granted, a lot of them might be like rallying at the hospital with these heart attacks that are being had in the first half. And you and I might be one of those, because if our text threads got leaked in the first half of these games, I don't think anybody would like to see them. It's not good in there. Nobody wants to see that. And I'm just really I didn't think I was going to get to a point where I really like this team. I'm starting to get to that point where I really like this team. And I think this team, I'm not going to put any sort of like expectations on them or anything like that. But I just like seeing what they're growing into, how they're starting to trust each other, and how they're starting to. Everybody on this team right now, I think, is getting better, at least over the past couple games. And that was something that, we sat here 3-4 weeks ago and said it feels like everybody has gotten worse or taken a step back.
Yep.
At least right now, you're starting to see the team as a whole take step forwards with guys showing up in individual games.
Yeah, just look at what you kind of have had over the last whatever. Ortega scores 20 plus in his first 4 SEC games, and then still gets into double figures last game. We've already talked about just how bad Denzel looked up until a few games ago, and now he's a guy that's going out there and getting he had 17 again at LSU, and then another 22 Saturday, and all pretty much in the second half. Malachi obviously from the start of the year and continuing to grow. And you're right. I mean, Jasper was another guy that, I thought Jasper and Colin, we talked about like how, you can't play a lot of these guys together and they're all getting better. I told you I didn't want to see Denzel and Colin on the floor together one more time all season. And then, you mentioned it. You had a lineup where you had those two plus Jasper and Otega out there, and I didn't hate it. And it's like, so I do think like all these guys are growing. Diabate is still the one. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I think if you can just kind of get him to probably understand he doesn't have the role maybe he thought he was going to have coming here. Maybe he works his way back into the starting lineup. Maybe it stays with Yelovich. But hey, just when you're out there, man, don't scream at your teammates and just play with a high motor, and everything else will work itself out, and you'll find ways on the floor. And if he can understand that, then I do think we could legitimately be in March talking about how every single one of these guys are better and in a better spot than they were to start, January.
And Mo is a high energy guy. Like that is what he brings to the team. And that's something that you're going to need. You saw how much you needed it down the stretch of this game. And Jake, part that I was going to just ask you there, like we talk about, we go back and forth on like what lineups you want to see. I think I'm kind of over just like putting together a certain lineup. I like the fluidity of being able to, like you mentioned, at that point where you had Jasper, Denzel, Otega, Colin. I think it was BG at the time, wasn't it, when they were running?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was, one of the fives.
Either way, you've got four guards out there running with a big. The only thing I know, and it's crazy that I'm going to say this of all people, is Otega and Denzel Aberdeen probably have to have at least like 32 minutes plus per game. And then that Malachi's deserved at least 20. Outside of that, I fully am just going matchup based, what we need at the time. And I think that's something Pope did a great job of last year. And I think that's something that he's finally starting to get to this year. And that's something I'm looking forward to seeing how we can develop that and hopefully use it in the first half, maybe, potentially. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But if we'd like to do it in the first half where maybe we're only down 3 or down 4, and then we can have one of those spurt runs and then we're just up 8 and kind of are in control of the entire game. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers, though. Like you said, we just want to win games.
Yeah. No, I'm there. I mean, and it is crazy, too, because, like, we've seen, obviously, moments where Otega comes out and kind of takes over. Like, why can't tomorrow night Otega and Denzel come out and they each have, 8 points in the first, 13 minutes and you're up
Nice.
30, you're up 35 to 25 early. Like, it would be awesome. I don't know. I don't have the answers. Every person wants to ask, what do they got to do to fix the slow starts? Maybe press earlier. I don't know. But yeah, I'm with you. Just obviously keep winning games. Back to just there's never been a player I've had more of a flip on from wanting him to not play at all to I do agree with you, like especially without Lowe and all the other kind of issues and how bad this offense looks. Like I think Denzel's got to play 30-ish minutes a game, and there were games earlier in the year where he's playing 28, and me and you were coming on here screaming about it, like but like now I'm to the point where you got to keep him out there, and you saw glimpses from Jasper. So even on those nights where, hey, maybe Denzel doesn't have it, you send him to the bench for a little bit. You let Jasper get hot from 3 and make a couple shots, and next thing you know, you're kind of surviving without it.
And I'd also like to just allow these guys confidence to keep building.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been times where this might be a Yelovich and Cam Williams specifically, where they've had great games or good games, and then the very next game they are DNP or they don't play much. Like, for example, Cam Williams had those 8 threes against Bellarmine. The very next game against Alabama, he doesn't play much at all in that first half and then gets some extended run in the second half when we start to play better. Yelovich gets DNP'd for, 4 straight games, and then all of a sudden he's starting and is playing pretty well. So the last thing I want to see is Jasper goes out, plays a good game, gives you an instant spark. He needs to play a lot against Texas. I'm not saying like a ton of minutes, but he needs to get in there with those spots where Denzel needs a breather or you just him or Denzel together. Like we mentioned, that looked good at times too. And I'm kind of confused. I don't know what to think of this Texas team either, which is why I'm so like I think this could be a game in which not necessarily that we start off hot, but I think this could be something you see to the level of that Mississippi State game where we might get down 7 or 8 early, but then we just put the pedal to the floor and we just take over. I could see that happening, but Texas has been just as streaky as we have, and I think they're the highest scoring team in the conference right now. So
Yeah, real quick before I talk about Texas, I do want to. You mentioned Cam Williams. I do want to say, like, I I gotta. There's too many moments with Cam Williams where like he's on the floor, but you don't even realize he's on the floor. And for a guy with kind of his athleticism and playmaking ability, I obviously love what he gives you, and I'm more than happy to see him play more than 15 minutes a game. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm crushing him, but I don't know if you feel this way, but like I feel like there's just a lot of times where he'll be out there for a stretch and you almost forget he's on the floor. And for somebody with kind of his athleticism and the way he should be able to defend, I don't really feel like that should happen. You mentioned it, either before the LSU game or after, like you want to see him kind of take guys on the dribble more. And you saw him do it one time Saturday, and it was his only bucket. I mean, that was a great take, but like, I don't know. I want to see him do a little more out there while he's on the floor because I do think he has the potential to be one of your, better players. And I feel like too often he's just kind of fading away.
yeah, and I think this could be a game in which you see that. I just think he needs to be more assertive. And I think when
Yeah.
you're talking about two guards that are kind of ball dominant in Ortega and Denzel, it's hard for him to get a ball, get his share of what he wants to get out there, especially with how we were running these sets against Tennessee. He was running the floor a lot. I think Cam Williams has that ability to still potentially be the best NBA prospect on this team that's actually playing.
Yeah.
He has
We've
that
said that.
athletic. I think he has that shooting touch. I think he has the ability to get downhill like that. I just think he has to almost come out with an assertive mindset, like Denzel and Ortega do, where they're going to get their shots up whether they're falling or not. You saw him do that against Bellarmine, and really outside of that, you haven't seen him be assertive with the amount of shots that he gets up. I think he's one of those guys that you look at it, and I don't want a game to go by where he's only shooting the ball 4 times. Like I need him shooting more than that, especially when you're talking about how much we were desperate for offense in that first half. I need Cam Williams to be shooting more than he is right now.
Yeah. I don't want him to be the guy that's just kind of chilling in the corner and, waiting for the ball to come to him. And I think that was kind of the point I was trying to make of when I say, like, I feel like there's spurts where like you don't even notice he's out there. So I
And
agree with you. I would.
like I still think he works better at the three offensively, and that's something we had kind of gone back and forth on. I still think that's where his role is, but I think with how this lineup is constructed right now, he has to kind of to get the minutes that he's wanting to get. He kind of has to play the four at
Yeah.
this time, and I don't think that's best for what he gives you at this moment.
Yeah. I agree. But yeah, I guess now we're talking about horns down, baby.
Horns down.
You were talking about Texas being like a weird team. I mean, this is a team that they lost to Mississippi State, got ran by Tennessee, and then followed it up with a win at Bama and a win at home against Vandy, and then played a really good A&M team, I think, down to the wire. So I,
Yeah.
I kind of said it like with Tennessee. I said you could tell me Tennessee beats us by 20, or we go and we win the game, and I wouldn't really be surprised. I could I could see Kentucky, like you mentioned, the Mississippi State game that's playing out similar. We win by 20 plus. I could see me and you texting each other at 11 o'clock tomorrow talking about there's 2 minutes to go and it's a one score game. So
Yeah, and I don't know why I feel so confident about this game. I really don't know why I do, especially because like even if you go back a little bit further for what Texas has been doing, they played at the road or at the road. Jeez Louise, they played on the road at UConn.
UConn, yep,
Only
that was
lost
you.
by only lost by 8, and that was a really good game. You mentioned, obviously, doors blown off against Tennessee, beat Bama, beat Vandy, obviously just lost a close nail-biter to Texas A&M. I just, for whatever reason, when the leading scorer for an opposing team is that 6'7" to like 6'9" wing guy, I think that's when we match up best with them. Like I think explosive guards give us trouble, like you saw with Michael Brown and Ryan Conwell, and you even saw it against Georgetown earlier in the season too. I think we match up pretty well when they have guys that like that is how they score or from their wing threats. I feel really confident about this. I also, I think Sean Miller's a clown and a doofus. So I mean, there's that as well. I generally don't know how he got this job. I don't
There
know
are
how
people
he
that want
got
them
back to
here.
Xavier. I don't even start. I don't want to hear it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, people are talking. People are always talking. Some people shouldn't be talking. We're probably two of those people, if we're being honest. But I mean, Dalen Swain. I mean, he's been a lot better this year. Like
It was good.
I would say he wasn't really that big of a factor at Xavier last year. This year he stepped it up. He's obviously their best player. I mean, he's averaging 7.2 boards a game and 15.7 points. I just think between Ortega, Mohamed Diabate, and Cam Williams running those three at him throughout an entire game, showing him the length of Cam Williams, showing him the physicality of Mohamed Diabate, and then kind of like the combination of the two with Ortega Owe, who can pick your pocket at any point. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Dalen Swain, and I think that's probably a lot of the reason why Kentucky wins this game.
Yeah. I'm with you. Part of me wants to pick them to lose just because
Keep fading yourself.
I did pick us to beat LSU, so it's not the end of the world.
Congratulations, you picked us to beat the worst team in the conference. Really, thanks.
Yeah, and it was a struggle to get there.
It was.
But no, I'm with you. I feel good about these next two, and I know this is right when I'm fully expecting to get smacked in the face, because that's just what this team does. The second we kind of start believing in them, they have a bad loss. Even going back to last year, I think that's just kind of the way it's been. But I'm with you. Like I mentioned, 14-6. You got two teams that you're better than. You're going to be your 6.5 point favorite tomorrow. You'll probably be, higher than that favorite on Saturday against Ole Miss. Like, you really need these two. You get to 14-6. I think everything is right there in front of you. And not saying you can go on a run or anything, but we're maybe not talking about being on that 10, 9, 8 line. You can maybe get your way up to a 7, or potentially even higher if you really kind of get things rolling. But in order to kind of, I think, take yourself off the bubble for a while, it's you got to win these two.
I mean, Jake, right now we're tied for second in the SEC. So
that is true.
Texas
is a game
log jam there. It's a log jam there, but we are ranked second in the SEC. And
do you worry that we're playing though another 7 foot, 250-pound center that's averaging 15 a game? That's like kind of the one area I think that can give me a little bit of hesitation.
One thing that I'm worried about is that we're playing at home. To be honest with you, we just haven't. It feels like we haven't really played a full game yet at home since that Purdue game of all.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we haven't played a full game against anybody.
That is true.
We did beat Indiana at home. I mean, that's been the best win the crowd's seen so far. But
yeah, I mean, I don't. The only problem is I think the only thing I'm looking at when it comes to this game is usually with teams like this that are kind of on the bubble of being good teams versus, maybe taking that next step, is whether or not they win games like this. And the only thing I'm concerned about is that slow start being just too much to overcome. And that luck finally runs out. I mean, you're talking about a full court heave to the charity stripe for Malachi to throw it in with 1.6 seconds. And then you're talking about coming back from 17 down. And then, Jake, I mean, that stat of Tennessee being 102.
Yeah, that's
of the 102 games. I mean, that's insane. And for it to happen on back-to-back years is ridiculous. That's my biggest concern is that we just give ourselves something that's too steep to climb out of,
Yep.
and then we just don't get back into it for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, here, how about I'm going to come out and just have a completely different spin, and I'm going to say tomorrow night we come out on fire, and I'm going to say we're up. Before you even blink, we're the ones they're calling timeout. And we're up 15-4, and we're feeling good. So I'm going
See,
to
Jake,
speak it into existence.
the thing that we've talked about is it's not that initial like first 2 to 3 minutes of the game or
It's
to like the first
shortly
media
after
timeout.
that.
It's right after that first media timeout to like the under 12 timeout is usually that is where the doors just get blown off for whatever reason. And you look and we've just went on a spell where we're down 13 and we had the same might have even had the same lineup in.
Well, we went another, and I don't remember if I texted you or it was somebody else, but like every single game we went on another 8-minute
Scoreless
stretch
streak.
without a field goal. Like, I mean, hell, even what was it? The North Carolina game, you did it to end the game. Missouri, you did it to end the game.
Scoreless.
So how about we find a way to make a field goal every few minutes in this game, and I think you win.
I mean, I'll sign up for that. If you're offering, I'll gladly sign up. Jake, obviously, these are 2 wins that you got to have. At home this week, Texas and Ole Miss. Obviously, I've already said I think they're going to win this game. I think you've said that as well. I want you to give me an MVP pick for this game, and then give me one guy that's outside of the traditional Ortega or Denzel that you think is going to step up in situations to help this team win this game.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the obvious, quote unquote MVP is Ortega, but I mean, outside,
This guy's always taking chalk.
I think this is you
Big
mentioned.
Blue Nation. Let me just say one thing about Mr.
Can
Jacob.
you shut up for a second?
He's the type of guy that he goes to Keeneland and he bets the 1-9 favorite, and then he screams about how he won.
Hey, if I come out making money at the end of the day, I think that's all that matters. You hit enough 2-1 favorites, your day gets paid for. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, but if you're asking me when we leave here or when we record on Thursday or whenever we do it, like who are we going to say was the best player? I obviously think it's going to be Ortega. I expect him to kind of bounce back. He had a week of being sick. I expect this to be another 20-plus game, and you talked about how he's going to, be guarding the wing a lot. Like to see him. I'm going to predict he even gets a few steals in there. And we're talking about
again.
Yep, we're talking about this was a classic Ortega away game. Now, outside of Ortega, who's kind of the other guy? I'm gonna go with another guy that has obviously played well of late, and I'm gonna go with Colin Chandler. I think his ability to shoot the ball is, he's getting into passing lanes. That press, I think, is helping him defensively. You're really kind of seeing it. How about him making that pass early to Ortega, not waiting and trying to throw the lob at?
I knew you were going to bring that up at some point. I was not going to say anything. I was going to wait to see if you'd bring it up, and I'm glad you got it out.
And then for a prediction, I will give you an official Kentucky wins. I think this one's higher scoring. I think we kind of see maybe 2 whole halves of the offense we saw at Tennessee. I think Texas gets theirs as well. So I'll say Cats 89, Texas 78.
Double-digit win for the Cats, huh?
Yep, it's never pretty. We never feel great about it. We're probably up, 6-8 for majority of the game, and then maybe they foul a little bit at the end, and we just kind of put it away.
Well, I should have wrote my score prediction down because it was eerily close, and now I'm concerned. Now this is where I get concerned because I was going to say 88-76 Cats by 12.
And you're going to pick Ortega as your MVP, and then you were going to pick.
I'm not going to pick Ortega. I'm not that much of a chalk guy. I like to find I like to find the odds. I like to do all this. You saw my bet slip, Ortega. You kind of ruined it, if I'm going to be honest with you. But
that's what I'm saying. Bounce back game for him, man.
That's neither here nor there. I think Denzel's found something right now, And I mean,
I
that's
hope so.
probably the second favorite if you're talking about MVP picks for this
Yeah,
team.
you're talking about chalk. You're talking about the guy that scored 22 last game. There's no
I,
more chalk than that.
I think he has really found something though, and I think
I
he's
agree.
finally becoming that point guard that you need. While he's not necessarily, I wouldn't consider him a floor general at this moment. I think he is able to run this offense at least to a standard that once we get to the second half, we're running it at a pretty high to almost an elite level. I think this is a game where I don't think he'll get to the 20-point mark like he did in this one, but I think this is one where you see him. He has right around 16 points, and he knocks down a couple big threes, makes a couple extra passes, like you mentioned, like he did against Tennessee. And if we're talking about, the off the wall guy who's going to come in, I think it's going to be Mohamed Diabate's defense on Dalen Swain. I think that'll be something that's going to be huge. Show that physicality, get some offensive rebounds. I think that just is his role right now. Get
Yeah.
some putbacks, offensive rebounds, make the extra passes once you get those offensive rebounds. Basically, the 5 minutes that you saw him against Tennessee, the last 5 minutes of the game, I think that's something you're going to see from Mohamed Diabate in this Texas game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Just keep playing with that intensity. Do we get another little fight, or does Ortega comment about somebody's weight
I,
again? Or
I don't think they care enough about Texas basketball. I'm not sure if Texas cares enough about their basketball program. When you go out and hire Sean Miller, I think you say enough about what you think about your basketball program. Now, all the Texas fans will clip this when we lose by 30 tomorrow.
yeah.
But, yeah, there's that.
No, I'm with you. We do owe them. They beat us a year ago. If you remember, that was the game Travis
I
Berry
remember.
had to start at point.
Jake, I don't know if you remember where I had to watch. I had such a tough time trying to
I
watch
had to
that
watch.
game.
I watched it at Turfway.
I was down in Gatlinburg around a bunch of Knoxville idiots. They were down there. I'm trying anywhere and everywhere. I go to Mellow Mushroom to try and watch the game. It was some of the worst food I've ever had in my life. So I think I just ruined our
You
sponsorship with
you
Mellow
you
Mushroom.
ordered the wrong. I'll defend them. You ordered the wrong pizza. If you don't do buffalo chicken,
Order a pizza.
exactly like clown ball, honk honk. I mean, you
So
get the
I,
buffalo.
yeah,
The only
I
thing there, that's worth eating, buffalo chicken pizza. It's the best thing on the menu. You don't even need to try anything else.
Jake.
It
It
has
was.
been years since I've been there, so maybe
I'm
it's
just.
not good anymore.
It was very bad. The TV was far away. I ended up finding the Dick's Last Resort. They put some hats on me with some incriminating things on my head, and I had to watch this team lose in what was a very very bad fashion. I mean, I can't. What was the guard last year that tore us up? That got drafted in the lottery.
Oh, yeah, I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name, but
His
he
freshman. We got
yeah,
torn up by him and Fears like
Jeremiah
back to
Fears.
back
Yeah, and
weeks.
I can't remember his name, but he tore us up. I just don't think they have a player like that. I think we match up better with Dalen Swain than we did with that last year. But this year, I will be in the comfort of my own house watching this game, and that will be enough to turn the tides.
I'm with you, man. I whatever we got to do. Like let's just. I'm gonna say it again. I don't care. I know I picked this to win by 11 or 12. I don't remember the score I said at this point, but I don't care. You come out and you win this game, 40-39. I'll take it. You come out and you win 100-60. I'll take it. I'll be excited either way.
I mean, it sounds simple. I'm right there with you. Obviously, just need these cats to keep winning. We obviously need a 2-0 week. Jake, you got anything else for Big Blue Nation before we let them out of here?
No, I mean just 2-0. Like everything that the excitement we've won it with this team. It feels like we've never really enjoyed it this year. As soon as we feel good, we beat Purdue in the preseason. We come out and lose to Georgetown. You lose to Louisville to start the year. You beat St. John's, and you're starting to get some momentum, and you get ran by Bama. BBN, if we win these next two, we'll have a week of kind of talking ourselves back into this team can be dangerous and make some noise. So
And you win two in a row, two more to get you 5 in a row. Then you go take on Vandy. That's a top team you got to play. Then you get to go down to Fayetteville. You get to go down to Fayetteville, Jake, and right some wrongs from what happened last year. So, Big Blue Nation, to get that all started, we obviously got to go 2-0, and that starts with this game against Texas, where, Jake, we are a 6.5-point favorite in this game at home. I'm riding with the Cats minus 6.5. Jake is as well. Big Blue Nation, that is going to be all for Cam'Ron and Jake on the Cats Talk podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, TikTok, wherever you get your news, we're there. And make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere and everywhere you can get your podcast. We'll always be there for you. Jake, let's go 2-0 this week, baby. Go Big Blue.
Let's do it. Go Big Blue.